Welcome back to the Beat the Odds of Business and Wealth podcast. Trevor, got an important episode today. We are going to be talking about why the TSX is hitting all-time highs, but there's no jobs.
No jobs.
No jobs.
Yeah, so this is crazy. Again, we go back to Canada has, I'm going to say, besides, the core of Africa, we have probably the most natural resources that we could turn into money. Mm-hmm. And we could turn this country into a major powerhouse because of the resources that we have. Yet we don't do it, and there's no jobs. So let's go over the dichotomy between the TSX and jobs.
So this is important because there is news that is actually concerning, and then there is news that is concerning that will affect your investments. But people think that it's rather intuitive which ones are connected. Mm-hmm. So they think when they start hearing no jobs, that should dramatically affect my investment decisions. It's actually not. That is, one of the not as an important of a variable as people will think, right? And so I'm going to go through the actual numbers on this. And so let's start here with our monthly update that we put on the Instagram channel all the time. And you can see the jobs in Canada. We went from a 6.7% unemployment rate to a 6.9% unemployment rate. Okay.
Yikes.
Technical definition is, once you start getting numbers over 5, you start having a problem. Okay. So anything, once you hit a 6 in the front, there's a problem. Pretty much anything under 6 is, defined as full employment. Now, there'll be people out there who say, well, unemployment's a fake number because you're estimating who's actually looking for a job. And you're right. You are right. But you should be aware of the unemployment number because it guides policy decisions. And it's a benchmark, not necessarily the best benchmark. I'll show you one of the other benchmarks that I like to look at that I think is more important.
Okay.
But it's a benchmark, and people should understand it. Regardless of your view of how reliable or unreliable it is, you have to recognize that it drives policy decisions. So you should know what the number is. Okay. Then I like to look at the number of full-time jobs. That's what I like to look at. It's like, what is the number of full-time jobs? That's probably one of my favorite metrics, right? And I'll show you how I break that down even further. But full-time jobs going from 16.9 million at the beginning of the year to 17.2 million.
Okay. Now, is there a differentiator between public sector and private sector?
We will get to that. We will get to that.
I'm jumping the gun.
That is important. That is important, right? And then it's the wage growth. And so you can see right now that wage growth in Canada is completely non-existent for a full year.
Stagnant.
Completely median hourly wage stuck. I mean, stuck in the mud, stuck in quicksand. It is not going anywhere. $30 an hour.
But I think everybody can notice and would agree that the price of everything is going up, but the wages are not going up.
That's right.
To match inflation, not even remotely close.
That's right. And these are starting to get, and so I look at this. This is a benchmark because it guides policy decisions, but you have to recognize the weakness in it. It's estimating who is actually looking for work. There's no estimate on you have a full-time job or not, right? Mm-hmm. Now, there can be miscalculations, but at least you're not estimating an important component of it. So it's more reliable in my view, okay? So we start there. Then you start to look into, let's look at the same thing and break it down by public versus private, okay? So you can see the private sector only created 100,000 jobs in the entire year. You went from 13.6 million to 13.7 million.
And it's been stuck there for most of the year. You look at that, that's pretty
Correct.
telling. That's absolutely awful.
Correct. I mean, and this kind of teases out the rounding. We're only going to the nearest 100,000, right? But then you can see public sector. So of the full-time jobs that are, so this is, it should be qualified here that it's relatively easy to see public versus private jobs, and it's relatively easy to see total full-time jobs. But the differentiator that's obscured from us when you start really drilling through the Stats Canada numbers, it's it's very difficult and it's not as timely, the updates on full-time public versus full-time private.
Right.
So you can see job growth here, but when you start to look at this one, the last one was full-time jobs. These are public versus private. I would love to have timely reporting every month on full-time public versus full-time private. But dig through the Stats Canada numbers and tell me if you can find that. And then your conspiracy theorist brain will get going. It's like, why is that number obscured from me, right? And so we have to see what we can see reliably every month. So private sector jobs, whether these are full-time or someone working an extra 5 hours a week, that went from 13.6 million to 13.7 million. Public sector job growth. So you can start to see that the job growth here, 4.2 million to 4.5 million. So 300,000 of the jobs created were public sector jobs. More CRA agents to answer the phone, more people working at, Canada Place who they don't see in-person customers anyway. So like more of that, right? More of that to, not actual.
More bureaucrats that don't actually produce anything. They only take from the system. They don't produce anything to put into this system.
And we've done, if you want to drill back, like we've done podcasts on this before, how that ratio is climbing and climbing and climbing, right? Some people say, well, they're productive. It's like, well, the ratio doesn't make sense. Like, no, you can't have a functional economy, where, for every two private jobs, you have one public sector job. Like, it just doesn't work like that, right? You're delving into communism. Like, that's where that ends up. Like, that ratio is all sorts of messed up. Like 10 to 1, people. 10 to 1 would work.
Question. For your public sector, does that include federal and provincial for this calculation?
Yeah, it does. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it includes all public sector, all levels of government. So, so now you start to see that the job growth here, whether you're looking at the full-time jobs, it can be reasonably interpreted that most of this full-time job growth based on the total public sector jobs is actually public sector full-time jobs, right? And a lot of people also say, like, $30 an hour. How is it $30 an hour? It's like, you forget how overpaid the public sector is versus the private sector, right? If you own a business, you know exactly what I'm talking about, because your biggest competitor is the person you pay taxes to, in terms of competing for jobs. So that's the kind of the slap in the face. You pay the taxes to the person who then tries to hire the talent away from you, right? And they try to lure them with talent where, hey, we won't even make you to come in or do any work. So that's the that's the hiring
you can work
outlook
from home.
out there. Yeah, you can work from home. You can work from home.
You can appear to work from home.
Yes. And so like you start to look at these numbers like, oh my goodness, like we are in trouble. Like, as a country, like, we are in trouble. I should pull my investments. This is what people start thinking. They start thinking, it's like, I should pull my investments. Meanwhile, and it gets even like more different and more painful and more emotional based on what province that you're in. Because if you're in Alberta, you just saw a full percentage point in a month. You saw unemployment go from 6.8% to 7.8%. 1 full percentage point in a month. Now, I am aware, like, any month you can have a little bit of statistical anomalies, but it increased, people. It went up. Boots on the ground here, that went up. Like, we see it because we see the number of people that apply to, to our businesses and our clients' businesses. Like, we can see the dramatic shift here.
I actually had a story from a client just the other day, this week. Normally, like, he's a roofing contractor, and normally there's ads out, roofing companies looking for subcontractors. Well, right now there's a reversal. There's subcontractors looking for work.
Yeah.
So that is a complete flip around as to what normally happens during this cycle.
Yeah.
So that's very telling. Yeah.
And so people look at these numbers and they either have already made emotional decisions or they're about to make emotional decisions about, I should sell my investments. Obviously, I should sell my investments. Obviously, the Canadian stock market won't work. But then you turn around and you see this, and you see the TSX has gone up 21% in the past year. 21%. So, we have job numbers that they're only, like, really any increases in job are limited to public sector. Increasing unemployment, wages completely frozen, and the stock market's up 21%.
That's curious.
21%. Okay.
So let's dive into this dichotomy. Like, stock market is going gangbusters, reaching all-time highs, growing and growing, but no more jobs being created. You would think that, you would have to have a productive economy in order to see the stock market, the Canadian stock market, rise. So what's going on?
You would think, right?
What's going on?
So there's two things. Okay, there's two things. It's how you frame the job numbers. Okay, so if you take a historical approach and zoom out, you can start to make the argument that it's maybe not as bad as you think. And then there's B, which is more important, which we're going to get into, is the jobs numbers is not what actually drives the whole bus to begin with. Okay, companies don't necessarily profit or lose because the middle class is strong. That's the misunderstanding. It's like you might feel better because the middle class is strong, and your job is secure, and there's different employment aspects out there. But that's not what drives the capital at the top. Okay, and I'll get into that. Okay, so let's look at this, and I can frame this to make it look scary if I want, because it can grab headlines. This is Canada's unemployment rate in the last 3 years, where we went from 4.8% to 6.9%. That looks like a scary number, right? Mm-hmm. That looks like I can do the same thing with youth unemployment, where I can show it was at 9%, and then I can show it at 14.6%. And this is a headline. We've seen increasing unemployment. There are no jobs for the youth. The youth unemployment has gone up by over 50%. Okay, true. But you can also see what the capital looks like at the top, because they are much more patient and much more analytical and much more cerebral. And so I tell people, like, when in doubt, zoom out. Okay, what if I zoom out on this number? Where are we actually in this cycle? We're at 6.7%. We have gone decades above 6.7%. Mm-hmm. From 2009, we hit 8 point, we hit, let's call it in January, we were above that in 2009. And we did not get below that until, let's call it 2017. Okay? 8 years. Okay? And, when it comes to the youth unemployment, it's the same thing. It's like when I entered the labor force in high school in the 90s, it's like we didn't have 14% unemployment. We had coming off of 17% and 15% and 16%. It's like that was my entire reality when I was that age. It was a higher youth unemployment rate than it is today. Okay, and so is it good that our youth unemployment is 14.7%? No. Is it going to be catastrophic to the economy? Also no. And so this is not an excuse to let politicians off the hook. It's like, that's a terrible number. Mm-hmm. You're failing. You should be fired. I'm like, that's the answer.
I think they should all be fired.
But are my investments going to fail? No, they're not going to fail over that, because that is not even all that stressful in the scheme of things. Okay, and it's not what actually drives the profits. It's a lower importance variable at the end of the day. Okay, so let's get into some of the higher importance variables that we have. Population growth. We got in the last year, despite all of the talk about dialing down immigration, and there were calls for net negative immigration, we went from 41 million to 41.5 million. We still added 500,000 people. We're still net positive 500,000 people. Okay. Now, when you bring people in, okay, whether they are a thriving middle class or whether they are on the government dole, if you are a company who can make money off the people on the government dole, when they come in, with all those people, do you think that they, come into the country? Guess what they need? They need a bank account.
Yes, they do.
They need a cell phone.
Yes, they do.
They're going to pay their utility bills, okay? There are certain companies that don't really care. They have stuff to sell. I'm going to call the serfs, because that is the goal. They, as long as there's serfs who need our stuff, and as long as there's wealthy who can purchase our stuff, the people in the middle who make us feel better and feel more secure, and an actual functioning economy where we are thriving and doing better, that feeling is created by the middle class. But the profits at the top can be derived as long as there's stuff to sell the serfs and the wealthy. That's how you should understand, the investments. And to go further, it's like, okay, what about our GDP numbers? And we've been over this before. It's like, as long as the GDP goes up, the right companies can make more. They don't care as much as you think about GDP per capita. You feel GDP per capita. You feel your slice of the pie getting smaller and smaller. But they just have more, I think they like to call them useless eaters to sell stuff to, right? I think that's one of the terms used by the World Economic Forum. As long as there's more useless eaters to sell stuff to, they can make money. They can make money. If you understand, who makes money in that environment, you start to understand why this happened. And ultimately, Trevor, it leads into one variable that is the most important. It is not the unemployment. Okay. It's not the unemployment. It's not the number of full-time jobs. It's, the population is more important, but it's still not that. It's not the GDP. What is the number? It's like, the money supply. The money supply. Ultimately, it comes back to the money supply. As the money supply goes up, as long as you have products that you can sell to the serfs, and as long as you have products that you can sell to the top 20%, you can make more money because there's more money out there. So the middle class feels like there's less money out there. It's like, no, there's actually more money out there. It's just in fewer and fewer hands, and the right companies benefit from that environment. Okay, and that's why you see these abysmal unemployment numbers, complete, wage, flatlining wage, and you start to see unemployment, skyrocketing, and you start to see youth unemployment skyrocketing, but at the same time, you see the TSX up 21%. Yeah, so that's what's happening. It probably will really piss off people to understand that this is how the system is working, is how it's rigged. It's not in the favor of the middle class. It's not in favor of the bottom class. It's in favor of the investor class. The system is working as designed. As designed. It's not malfunctioning. Yeah. It's working as designed. Yeah. It is designed to move the money from the people who do the work to the people who own the assets, right? Yeah. If you want to go deeper, it's like, go look at, and the last thing you want to do when you have a struggling middle class is sell your investments for fake paper dollars. It's like that. This is the least stable time that your fake paper dollars will be. Well, because you saw the money supply going up, they're being inflated away. That's right. that is shrinking by the day. Like the size of the bill is staying the same, but what that bill can buy is changing day by day. You want to go through it? Like look at an extreme case study. Look at Argentina. Look at Argentina when they tried to have everyone working for the government. Okay, yeah. Their currency got obliterated, but their stock market ripped through the roof. Right? It only works better the more you obliterate the middle class. That is the objective. Okay, the system is working as designed. Right. So when you see large companies and you see them support what are seemingly illogical government policies that destroy the middle class, you know why. It's beneficial for them. It's beneficial for the bottom lines. If you have products that you can sell the serfs and you have products that you can sell the top 20%, life is going to get better for those companies. Okay. Now, the regular small business, not so much. No. Let's get into that because small businesses is kind of our wheelhouse and the people that we help. We were talking earlier before the podcast about Spurrell and Associates as a case study. Yeah, it's like, we're small in the scheme of things. Like we're small, but we are, I think we're the avatar. 53% of the jobs in this country are created by small businesses.
Right.
They're created by small businesses. And so it's not, as you said, it's not the government's job to create jobs, because all they do is create bureaucratic jobs that really just cost more and inflate the value of the currency, and all that currency ends up in the investor class hands.
Right.
That's it.
So what they should be doing is actually creating the environment for people to invest, to start businesses and hire people. But
that's right. But they're not, right? I mean, after what's happened in the last 5 years, we made a very concerted effort to change course. And, we have 20 people onshore here now, right? Between the Edmonton office and the Vancouver office. We have 20 people, between the different functions and brands and stuff like that. We've got 20 people. We have 6 people offshore. In 10 years, our strategic objective is to have 20 people offshore and still 20 people here. We have 0 plans to actually add to our headcount onshore. None. After some would see the last 10 or 11 years of jackassery, but certainly I would say the last 5 years. And that's not changing anytime soon. Like, I don't think people understand that. They think, well, if there's a snap election tomorrow and we're not changing. There would be 0 confidence of changing. And it's like, that's the other job creators too who are thinking that. It's like, we're not deploying capital there. Why would I deploy capital there? It's not safe. It's not a safe place to deploy capital. I don't control pipelines and transmission lines. It's like, right. I'm going to deploy it that's more in a jurisdiction that's going to be more friendly to the middle class, where it's more business friendly. That's what I'm going to do. And it's like, I'm just a very small operation in the scheme of things. It's like we're talking about 20 people, and like maybe I could make it 40 people if the environment. But you magnify that, it's like I'm like the 53% of job creators.
Right.
And they don't want to deploy their capital into this environment, right? And so you look at it like the way the world should be. It's like the government should be creating an environment that makes it friendly for business owners to deploy capital. It's like you can see, like business owners aren't deploying capital. In fact, there's less entrepreneurs now than there was 5 years ago. They're not even starting businesses at all. Yeah. Never mind growing it. Like the entrepreneur class is actually shrinking in this country.
And so many that shut down during COVID are not coming back.
They never came back. They never came back. You can look at the rates of entrepreneurship. Like they never came back. And that's where 53% of the job growth actually happens. So that's the people actually making improvements to your house. That's the people actually providing, a nice place for you to go out and eat with your family. Not, someone pushing paper in a government office that does nothing to benefit the quality of life, right? Not all of us need one secretary working for the government, apparently. Yeah. So that's where this is going. So it's important because this is a very personal feeling, and people will feel that, and it's like, I should take my capital out of this country. It's like, no, there's 2 things. It's like, is this useful for the middle class? It's like, yeah, I'm not deploying my capital here onshore in my private business, but I haven't changed my stock portfolio one bit, because this is a fantastic path for my stock portfolio. Right? Yeah. And so I see people thinking that, man, the wheels are falling off this thing. This doesn't feel right. I got to take money out or stop deploying money. It's like, well, this is exactly what I want for my stock portfolio, not what I want for my kids and private businesses and, my fellow Canadians, not at all. But my stock portfolio is going to rip because of this. And that's what has happened, and that's what will continue to happen under this environment. Yeah. It will continue to move the money from the middle class to the investor class. And as long as you're holding the right companies, the ones that actually benefit from this sort of perverted environment, it goes up even by more than that, right? And that's what we've been teaching people at the bootcamp. It's like, this is the class that actually, these are the even just the TSX in general. These are the ones that actually outperform in this environment on the TSX.
So I have a question for you. When it comes to this, and our viewers, they're part of the tribe that we've got going on here with Spurrell and Associates and our group of companies. How do you develop the muscle to not get over emotional when you see these headlines,
Yeah.
when you see job numbers, when you see the abysmal management or mismanagement of Canada's resources. Like, how do you not get emotional and want to, divest your investments, or you want to, buy something silly or whatnot? So how do you develop that muscle to resist the temptation to be over dramatic, over hyped to sell your stuff?
I mean, you got to develop a sense of humor. I think you got to develop a sense of humor, because it's so bad, you'll just drive yourself crazy if you focus on it, because it is really that bad. The policies are really that bad that if you can't joke about them, it's hard to not let it bleed into every aspect of your life, right? Including your investment decisions, where everything becomes a gloom cloud. It's increasing your level of knowledge, and I think it's the tribe you hang out with. You become the average of the 5 people. So if you're around people who are emotional and make emotional decisions all day long, and they're constantly changing directions, you too will change directions and be an unsuccessful investor. Like, that's what will happen, right? Because, when people learn from us, they start to understand it's like the direction is actually really clear, and this is boring and it works. It's just boring. It's like people come to me as have you changed? No, I haven't changed anything. I haven't changed at all. It's like, what would make me change? If the government's balanced the budget repeatedly, then I would be worried. Then I would be worried about my investments. It's keep spending. Keep spending. It's which flavor of spending am I going to get, right? Am I going to get the bring it home or elbows up spending? I'm getting spending, right? I'm getting irresponsible spending either way, right? Am I going to get the in the U.S. the Make America Great spending, or am I going to get
big, beautiful
diversity and inclusion spending? But I'm getting spending. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
I guess that's the other thing people need to realize, that it doesn't matter who you vote for, whether it's right wing, left wing. They all want to spend money recklessly, like there's no tomorrow and there's no ceiling on it, because that is how the system is designed to work. They have to print the money. They got to be spending money on crazy bullshit that, that the normal family would be ostracized for and think, what the hell are you spending money on that for? But that's their job, is to spend the money, to be reckless with the finances, so that the money supply goes up,
that's
investment goes up, investor class is happy, right?
That's right. And the level of financial knowledge is so low. It's if you want, top 20% wealth or top 1% wealth, stop doing what the 99% are doing. Because they're all on Facebook, saying that everything is great, or that the sky is falling and I need to leave to some other jurisdiction to make money. That's not it. It's how many times I get people where they think that they're going to go to the U.S. and life is going to be better. It's dude, they got $37 trillion in debt. They have, 25% of their stock market's now tied up in 7 companies. It's and they think that their tax bill is going to magically decrease. It's no one goes from Canada to the U.S. to save on taxes. If you want to save on taxes, you're going from Canada to the Cayman Islands or Dubai. You don't go to the U.S. to save on taxes. You go to a tax-friendly jurisdiction, not, out of the frying pan into the fire, right?
Yeah, for sure. But, we were just down there for 2 weeks, right?
Yeah.
We did a road trip. We visited 7 different states. And, with just driving through there, it feels different and it feels better because there's so much activity, so much economic, things that are going on, so much variety. But I know that there is no difference between here and there. It just seems like it's better there. But
it's fake money.
The food is just as expensive as here. If you relate dollar for dollar, it's just as expensive. Accommodations just the same price. Fuel almost the same price. We did the calculation. It's stuff there is just about the same as here. It's costly, but it just feels different and feels better because there's more things, more variety, more things going on there, more economic activity. But they're in trouble.
Yeah, it's we pointed out in the previous podcast. If you want to go back and watch that one where we showed the actual debt levels, and we compared the debt levels to the population, and we talking about net debt and gross debt, and we talking about their debt in relation to their tax-based revenue.
Yeah.
It's worse. They're further indebted.
Trouble.
You can go on a credit card bender if you want, right? But that's not a path, right? That's not it might feel better for 5 or 10 years, but do I want to set up my roots and build a business for the next 20, 30, 40 years and pass that down to my kids there? I don't see that path at that point, right? I mean, there always is one thing, and we've said it before. It's like, what is the one thing that would really change my mind on the U.S.? It's like if the U.S. government backed the U.S. dollar with Bitcoin, all bets are off, because that is a real change. You can vote for whoever you want. That would be the only thing that would be consequential. 5 years from now, 10 years from now, that would be a consequential change, and that would change the trajectory for the next 100 years. Yeah. Without that, we're just going to keep playing the fake Ponzi game, and whoever spends the most, whoever borrows the most at one particular time will feel the best at that time, but we haven't solved the problem.
Yeah.
We haven't solved the problem, right?
Yeah. And none of this is comforting. Like, nothing that we're talking about today gives people good feelings, especially if they're on the outside looking in, right?
Yes.
People who are, feeling the crunch, the cash crunch. So for those people, where's the hope? Where's the hope? What do they do?
The hope is, like, when you recognize the perversion, you can realize that you can vote for you can invest for how the world is, not for how you wish it was. Okay, so you have to invest for how the world is, not for how you wish it was, right? You might wish that you could hold your money in cash and wait for the craziness to happen. Your cash would hold the value, but that's not what's going to happen, okay? And so once you recognize the perversion, it's like you just learn to play the game. You learn how to get you and your family on the life raft, because there's not enough room on the life raft for everybody, but there's enough room for you. There's enough room for a few more, right? There's enough room for the 5,000 people that are going to, subscribe to us, like, for sure, right? And we've always said, it's like, look at 40,000 followers. I think that's big enough for the life raft. Like, I don't know if it's big enough for more than that.
Yeah,
right?
We'll start kicking people off the life raft. I'm just kidding.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's what I have for people today. I hope it helps them separate in terms of what is concerning news and what is concerning news that's going to affect your investments, because they're often not the same thing, right? And the jobs number is concerning. It's a problem. Politicians should lose their job over it. But if you are holding the right investments, it's totally going to work. It's totally going to work for that, right? And that is that's how the system is. Like I said, it's working as designed, people. It's not malfunction. It's working as designed. It's like you just don't like the system. That's the problem, right? Yeah. And so you can learn that. If you want more information on how to, when you look at that sort of performance, it's like, how do you actually beat that performance? That's what we teach. It's like, how can you actually beat that performance? What entities actually benefit even more than the average on the TSX from that? And then how do you use debt effectively to lever that up even further than that, right? Is how do you borrow more fake dollars to buy even more real assets and do it responsibly?
Yes. Yeah. The next bootcamp is going to be a banger. There's going to be some new stuff.
Yeah.
That just opened up. That is like the money glitch.
The infinite money glitch.
Infinite money glitch. Yes. It's kind of cool.
Yeah.
I'm excited about it. I can't wait to see the results by the bootcamp.
Yep.
And everybody should get a ticket today, because you got, like we said, you get only room for a few on the life raft, and this is one way to get on that life raft.
That's right. Sounds good. Hopefully you like and subscribe, and hopefully we see you at the boot camp. That's only in Edmonton. No, I'm not coming to Toronto. I'm not coming to Vancouver. And if our tickets sell out too early, I'll move it to Tuktoyaktuk. So if you cannot buy a $400 plane ticket and get there and book it, and like, no, you're not going to execute anyways. It doesn't matter. I'm not coming. So it will sell out, and that's all we need. So so hope to see you guys there, and thanks for watching. Hope you tune in next week.